we're Penny, I believe, starting with you on this one. This comes from an ethnic studies student here in the audience who asks, I would like to ask on behalf of myself and on behalf of the students present, what does traditional education provide that ethnic studies does not, given that ethnic studies provides students with positive ways to get involved in their communities, gives students a sense of political awareness, and has a higher graduation rate than that of traditional classes.
It's 90 seconds? She just told me.
Was it 90?
90 seconds.
Oh, all right. You're the boss.
Okay. What does traditional education provide that ethnic studies doesn't? I suspect nothing. Traditional education is a different kind of education than ethnic studies. And though I am obviously not from Tucson and not intimately familiar with your program, I've certainly read and heard a great deal about it and met with a number of your teachers. I believe that it's really important as we look at education across this country and the state that we begin to come together, that we not create circumstances where we are against each other, but that we honor our diverse cultures, and that we really get serious about the notion that this is a country of individuals who come together for common good, not people that should be using our education system to divide and conquer different populations of individuals. It is very important in Arizona now, specifically, with the kind of political environment we are in, that we send a message to all of our children and our families that everyone is welcome in our public schools, and that all of our education system should be welcoming to all different kinds of cultures and diverse needs.
All right, thank you. No applause, please, folks. John.
Well, I'll talk about, when I was growing up, I talked about reading a lot. My mom took us to the library every week, and I read about our founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin in particular. He was the president of the Abolitionist Society in Pennsylvania. He led the fight against the slave trade, successfully stopping the slave trade. He freed all of his own slaves, and he not only freed them, but he gave them positions of responsibility so that they could grow into leaders. He also, out of his own pocket, helped build the very first schools for African Americans in this country. And the distinct signal which we are receiving is that our founding fathers are being trashed in the ethnic studies classes.
Not true.
Answer the question.
So the answer is the answer is there are a lot of things about America that we can improve on. But if you don't communicate to your student that our founding fathers put their lives on the line, that when they signed the Declaration of Independence, it was a one-way street for them. We were either going to be free or they were going to be hung. If they don't gain that understanding about them and those values of our society, I think that there is a serious problem with any class that claims to be a history class and is not communicating that. I think there is plenty of room to have Hispanic American heroes, to reach out in a variety of ways to all cultures and honor the melting pot, and that is the negotiation that we will proceed forward with.
We are all Americans.
All right. Margaret,
just
your thoughts on the ethnic studies programs, please.
The question was traditional versus ethnic studies. Is that
Yes.
Well, as a high school principal for 10 years and a teacher for 13 years and going through the public school system, I believe I've received a great education in Bisbee, sitting in classes with many students from different backgrounds. And first and foremost, I don't think it's healthy for us to segregate students based on ethnicity. Number one. Number two, I also think that we need to have the course, U.S. history or whatever the course is, and teach all of our students about the contributions of all of our ethnic backgrounds in the United States and in Arizona.
Where did Garcia go in your name?
Hey, let's
erase the last name,
have some
huh?
respect out here, folks.
Freedom of speech!
Erase the last name, huh?
I've always believed out of many one, and I believe that all students deserve a quality education and that we all need to work together to see the good of individuals instead of looking at the color or the language we speak. And this is what I think needs to happen in our education.
Wow.
Not what color of our skin or our language that we speak, but it is by individuals that we look at each other. And I think it's healthier that all students look at contributions that we all bring to this country and to this state, instead of dividing students up by their ethnicity.
That's not true.
And this is why I believe that the ethnic studies should have its place maybe at the university, but not in our K-12 system.
Educate yourself, please. Educate yourself. Racism. Educate yourself.
Jason.
Stop censoring the question. Ask the real question.
Point of order.
Yeah, I think it's important to know where everyone stands, and I want to emphasize that when the bill was introduced and now that it's a law, that I've never supported it and will continue to be opposed to the ban. I think it's, in my opinion, simply put, a form of censorship, and I think instead of censoring material, we should be wanting our children to be able to be critical thinkers, to be exposed to different points of view, different types of information, because we live in a pluralistic society and a democracy. If we're going to be graduating children from our school system to be able to be full participants in that democracy, we need to teach them how to critically think about issues, to not be afraid to engage in discussion and debate on issues. And that's why perhaps we need to change what defines traditional education now that we're in the 21st century. How are we ensuring we give a well-rounded education to all of our children? There shouldn't be an either-or. There's nothing wrong with making sure that we have programs like ethnic studies in place while still prioritizing civics and history. In fact, I would challenge all of the legislators that constantly say that this type of program causes children to think in an un-American way, that how about you stand up for the elimination of civics education in our schools, which has happened as a result of prioritizing the Ames test. In a recent study by the Civics Education Department at ASU, it showed 70% of our social studies teachers in K-8 were being told not to teach history because they need to focus on the Ames test. So it's time that we stop scoring political points and start talking about the real issues and standing up for what our kids need.
Special education, please describe what